Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive here on True Crime Headlines.
Always great to be back.
Today we're going to be looking into a case from Chicago.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing about this one.
Yeah, it really shook the city back in 2018.
It was a big one for sure.
Yeah, it's the story of Vasudeva Kethireddy,
Uh-huh.
a 76-year-old landlord who was found in a sewer.
Oh, gosh.
And the details are really chilling, especially when you find out his own tenants were involved.
Really puts a whole new spin on that landlord-tenant relationship.
Right. We got a whole stack of news articles here.
Wow.
And each one kind of adds another piece to the puzzle.
Sounds intriguing.
So let's get started.
All right, I'm ready.
So what I think is really striking about this case is that it really shows how even the kindest people can be vulnerable.
You're absolutely right.
Kethireddy was known for being really generous, always helping people in need.
It's a shame.
But it seems like that's exactly what made him a target.
Oh, that's awful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real reminder that real life can be a lot darker than any fiction.
I agree.
And speaking of getting lost in a good story,
Yeah.
I wanted to mention something before we really get into the details here.
Okay.
Have you ever tried those true crime puzzle books?
I've heard of them.
Yeah, you know the kind where you have to
The cipher codes and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Decipher codes and messages to solve the mystery.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're really fun.
I bet.
Well, you should check out Kevin Edwards' puzzles.
Okay.
They have some really clever ones, especially the true crime themed ones.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a fun way to kind of challenge yourself
Yeah.
and maybe even tap into your inner detective.
I like that.
You can find them on Amazon or Barnes & Noble.
I'll have to check it out.
But now, back to Chicago and the case of Mr. Kethireddy.
All right, let's get back to it.
So let's start by getting a picture of the victim.
Okay.
Vasudeva Kethireddy was an immigrant from India
Okay.
who came to Chicago and built a successful life as an engineer.
Good for him.
Yeah, and later on he became a landlord.
Mm-hmm.
But he wasn't your typical landlord.
Oh, how so?
He was known for going above and beyond for his tenants.
Really?
He would often rent to people who were struggling
Oh.
and even offered them financial assistance.
That's very generous of him.
It is, and it's this generosity that makes the crime even more disturbing.
I can see that.
Because the perpetrators were two brothers,
Okay.
Elijah and Tony Green,
Right.
who were renting an apartment from Kethireddy.
Uh-huh.
And from what we can tell from the reports,
Yeah.
they were behind on their rent.
Okay.
And they lured him to their apartment pretending there was a leak.
Oh, wow.
This is where things get really sinister.
Oh, no.
Once Kethireddy was inside the apartment,
Yeah.
Elijah choked him to death.
Oh, my God.
Then they stole his cash and credit cards,
Really?
and then they drove around with his body for a whole day.
That's terrible.
Before dumping it in a sewer.
Oh, my goodness.
It's hard to even comprehend how callous and premeditated that is.
It really is.
And to make it even worse, there's evidence on Tony Green's phone.
Like what?
He had searched how long it takes for a body to decompose in the sewer.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
It really makes you think about the trails we leave online
Mm-hmm.
and how they can be used to find the truth.
Absolutely, even when people try to hide it.
That's right. This case really shows how our online activity,
Yeah.
even something as simple as a Google search,
Mm-hmm.
can be crucial evidence.
You're telling me.
This digital footprint,
Yeah.
the record of what we do online,
Right.
played a key role in showing the Green brothers were guilty.
Wow.
And get this, after the murder, the brothers didn't just lay low.
No.
They actually went to Kethireddy's family
You're kidding.
and pretended to be concerned,
Oh, wow.
offering condolences
That's awful.
while his family was desperately searching for him.
That's just heartless.
It's a pretty bold attempt to deceive everyone.
It really is.
And it's hard to understand that level of manipulation.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to wonder, did they really think they could get away with it?
I know.
Or were they just trying to buy themselves some time?
Right.
It's a question that really gets at who they are, their psychology.
It definitely adds another layer to this already complicated puzzle that investigators were facing.
You can see that again.
This whole case, with all its twists and turns, really reminds me of those true crime cryptogram puzzles.
I see what you mean.
It's like you have to decode all these secret messages to solve the case.
Right. It's that same feeling of putting clues together.
Exactly.
Following the evidence to find the truth.
Exactly. And if you're interested in trying to crack some codes,
Yeah.
you should check out Black Diamond Authors.
Black Diamond Authors.
Yeah, they specialize in true crime cryptogram puzzle books.
Oh, cool.
And they have a website.
Okay.
It's https.blackdiamondauthors.com.
All right.
And you can find all sorts of brain-bending challenges there.
Sounds fun.
It's a great way to test your logic and problem-solving skills.
Yeah.
And you get your true crime fix at the same time.
I like it.
But for now, let's get back to the case.
Okay, sounds good.
We've met the key players and learned about the horrific crime.
Right.
Now let's dig deeper into the investigation and the trial.
I'm ready when you are. The investigation was pretty intense.
I bet.
The police uncovered a lot of evidence.
Like what?
Well, there were witnesses who saw the brothers at Kethireddy's building.
Around the time he disappeared.
Exactly, and then they tracked the use of his stolen credit cards.
Oh, so the brothers used them?
Yeah, pretty carelessly, too.
Wow. It's like they thought they were untouchable.
Right, like they could just erase someone and no one would notice.
And get away with it.
But they forgot about good old-fashioned police work.
And all the evidence.
It seems like a pretty common mistake.
What do you mean?
Criminals thinking they're smarter than they are.
I see.
Not thinking about how thorough an investigation can be.
So in this case, the evidence was just too much.
Yeah, it was overwhelming.
So what happened then?
Well, they arrested the brothers and charged them with first-degree murder.
First-degree murder.
Yeah, it means the killing was planned.
Intentional.
Exactly.
So what happened at the trial?
Well, the prosecution presented all their evidence.
The witnesses, the credit card records.
Yep. And of course, that Google search.
Right. The one about the body decomposing.
That really showed they planned it.
And what about the defense?
They tried to say it wasn't planned.
That it was like a spur-of-the-moment thing.
Yeah, a crime of passion.
But the jury didn't buy it.
Nope. They found both brothers guilty of first-degree murder.
Wow.
And they got sentenced to over 40 years in prison.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it shows how serious the crime was.
And how calculated it was.
Absolutely. But even though justice was served,
yeah,
it doesn't take away the pain for Kethireddy's family.
Right. They had to wait months before they even found his body.
And then to learn the truth about what happened.
It's just awful. The articles really show how dedicated the family was to finding him.
Yeah, and how much they grieved.
It's a reminder that these true crime stories, they involve real people.
Real people with real lives.
And their lives are changed forever.
These crimes, they affect everyone.
Not just the victims.
Families, friends, whole communities.
And in this case, it's even more tragic because Kethireddy was such a good person.
Right. He spent his life helping others.
He came from India, built a career.
And used his money to help those in need.
It's heartbreaking that he was betrayed by the people he was trying to help.
It's a cruel twist.
It makes you wonder about human nature.
You know, can you ever really do something selfless?
Or is there always something in it for yourself?
Even if you don't realize it.
And something philosophers have been talking about forever.
And this case adds a whole new dimension.
It really makes you think about why people do the things they do.
For sure.
Like I say, all this talk about the darker side of human nature.
Yeah.
It can be a bit much sometimes.
It's heavy stuff.
Sometimes you just need a break.
A mental break.
To focus on something else.
Something lighter.
You know, it's funny you should say that.
Why?
Thinking about that Google search that solved the case.
Yeah.
It reminds me of those true crime cryptograms.
You mean those puzzles where you decode messages?
Exactly, like you're a detective.
Yeah.
Analyzing clues and cracking codes to find the truth.
I like it.
Remember Black Diamond authors?
The ones you mentioned earlier?
Yep, they make those puzzles.
Really?
And they have a website.
Okay.
https://blackdiamondauthors.com.
Got it.
You can find all sorts of challenges there.
Sounds like fun.
It's a great way to use your logic schools.
Yeah.
And you get your true crime fix.
The best of both worlds.
Right. But for now, let's get back to the case.
Sounds good.
We've talked about the investigation, the trial, the impact on Kethireddy's family. But there's one big question left.
What's that?
Why?
Why did they do it?
Exactly. Why would these brothers, who were being helped by Mr. Kethireddy, turn on him so violently?
It's the question everyone wants answered. Let's do it.
All right. So we've got the facts of the case. We know about the investigation, the trial. But we're still left with this question. Why?
Yeah, it's the big one, isn't it?
Why would these brothers, who seem to be getting help from Mr. Kethireddy, turn on him like that?
It's hard to understand.
The prosecution said it was all about the money.
Simple as that.
That the brothers were behind on rent.
Probably facing eviction.
And they thought Kethireddy was an easy target.
Makes sense, especially since they stole his cash and credit cards.
Right. But some of the articles suggest there might be more to it.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, a couple of them talk about resentment.
Resentment?
Yeah, you got these two brothers struggling to get by. And their landlord, this immigrant who built a successful life, is seen as having it all.
Right. I can see how that could breed some resentment.
And it's interesting because Kethireddy's generosity,
Uh-huh.
the thing that was supposed to help people,
Yeah.
might have actually made that resentment worse. But for now, let's wrap up our deep dive on this case
Okay.
with a final thought for everyone listening.
Sounds good.
The murder of Vasudeva Kethireddy was a terrible tragedy.
It really was.
A good man killed for no good reason, a family devastated.
A whole community shaken up.
It shows that evil can be anywhere,
Even in places you'd least expect it.
and even those who try to do good.
Aren't safe from it.
But it also reminds us how important justice is
Right.
and how powerful evidence can be.
Absolutely.
And it shows how strong people can be even when facing something awful.
The human spirit is a powerful thing.
It is, and maybe most importantly,
Yeah.
it reminds us to be careful,
To be aware.
even in everyday life.
You never know what's lurking around the corner.
So at everyone listening,
Stay safe out there.
stay informed, stay vigilant, and most importantly, stay safe.